it's always present in some way. But then when you work relationally, in a sense, some of all that doesn't fall back, but it becomes more accepted. Okay, well, this is who I am, or this is what we're working with, and then you can. Sorry, I'm sounding a bit incoherent here, but I think I made my point.
Something you mentioned right at the beginning when we started, which was lovely, you were talking about the sort of summary of power from the therapist's perspective, or potential power. And I wanted to ask, and I've asked this at the end of the interview with everybody I've interviewed, which is your views on the impact of money and the exchange of money in that relationship.
Yeah, that can feel really uncomfortable, particularly in private practice. It's an issue I have to work with all my new supervisees, the trainees who have become, who are seeing clients, that learning how to navigate that relationship. So for a woman, I don't know if it's the same for men, I suspect it is, but for a woman, it can really feel like we're being like a prostitute. We've produced the breast for them to suck on, and then at the end of the session, they're handing over the money. Interestingly, with technology, with BACS, a lot of those discomforts have gone. Because often the BACS is paid before the session actually starts. And I, for one, am really pleased about that. I've done this a lot of years and accepted the cash, but what's interesting is that maybe 1 in 10 clients it feels uncomfortable with. So maybe what's interesting is that, okay, why that client? What's going on in their process that somehow is contributing to making this feel uncomfortable?
I can certainly say from my experience that it has felt like that for me as a man. With some clients, and I'm interested in exactly what you're saying. I'm interested in why that is with some clients, of course, and not others, and what it is about the physical handing over of the money when it is like that makes it like that.
Yeah, and it's also how it's done.
Yeah.
Sometimes they fling the money on the table, or it's all very. Some with one, they're handing it rather secretively.
Rather like that, yes, I've experienced. And it's like neither of us wants to even look at the physical cash in front of us. Yeah. Have you ever used the word power or powerlessness in a session? Would you?
Oh, yeah, many times.
Okay.
Yeah, I might even ask that question, if you were to rate the amount of power you're feeling at the moment between 1 and 10, where would you rate it? I think exploring a client's sense of their own autonomy, agency, control, power, choice, use any of those words. I think you definitely would. Use it explicitly, or equally sometimes, if a transferential dynamic is really strongly in the room, and I'm trying to explore that with the clients and say, well, how are you experiencing me? And they might say something, and I say, well, it seems like you're experiencing me as being very powerful. Is that how you're seeing me? Who does that remind you of? So I would use, I'd use it a lot. Or equally exploring the client's sense of power or lack of power out there in the real world, with these societal structures that we've been mentioning. How does their race, gender, ethnicity, age, how does that impact on their life out there?
Why are you writing about it? Why are you interested in it?
Well, I've just written a book on ethics, which, by the way, has just come out. You can get it on Kindle. The hardback's coming out next month. And interesting is how often power is mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Not even explicitly talking about it, but it's still kind of mentioned. But I've also written about power before, so it is a topic I'm interested in. And primarily I'm interested in the relationship and what that means. Mm-hmm. And as I said to begin with, I think power is in there. Power and powerlessness is in there. It's in all our stories. Mm-hmm. in really complicated, layered ways. And so I think it's inevitable. It should be something that's talked about. I think much more than it is in training courses, actually, but maybe your training course is different.
No, and that really leads me to sort of, in a very lovely way, thank you, to sort of final questions, which is it a dirty word? It's not talked about in my training course. It's not really talked about among my colleagues, and that's partly what prompted me to go there.
Yeah, I'm very sad to hear you say that, and I find it a bit shocking, really, and it does annoy me. I think there's a naivety in some of the practice that's around and the training that's around, and a kind of sense that, oh yes, we respect our clients, and particularly kind of humanistic. We really we want to promote this kind of client-centered work or whatever it is. And I think the power dimension is just airbrushed away, and so people aren't fully aware of it. And I think that's the worst type of therapist, really, when they're not aware of the potential for the power dynamic to be enacted in some way, in whatever way. And the same, in the psychoanalytic field, if power isn't talked about in relation to how obnoxious some of the interpretations are, that's a problem. And equally in the CBT world, if it's not looked at relationally as to what it is you're doing when you're just being this expert giving the information, or reducing people to little boxes or categories and behaviors and diagnoses, I think this is all about power.
Would you say talking therapies, and in particular integrative therapy, lend themselves to people who feel a bit powerful as therapists? I mean, before they go into training, who have a sense of something about them, perhaps?
I think it's more complicated than that. I'm using this phrase a lot today. I'm aware of that. I think that there's a duality. I think a lot of therapists go into the field because we want to make a difference. And by implication, there is a sense of, I think I can make a difference. Right. So there's a kind of an agency, and we're gung-ho, we become rescuers, and as soon as we become rescuers, we're caught up in a drama triangle, which is fundamentally about power, right? So I think there's a real problem if we kind of go in gung-ho. But I think at the same time, most of us go into the field because we've been hurt and damaged, or we're struggling, or we're feeling a sense of powerlessness, and it's part of our own kind of journey. So, I don't think we go in because of power or not because of power, and I think part of our journey into self-awareness will be learning about our power, or learning that we're actually feeling oppressed by society or by others or whatever, and that maybe we weren't so aware of this to begin with. So, I mean, I would like to think that training and having your own therapy and whatever, we learn to attend to power. But I think traditionally it's not talked about very much. Maybe it's talked about more now, increasingly with the advent of, say, intersectionality. I don't know if that's a topic you cover.